government plans its finances and tries to diversify that. Well, speaking of disruption, with me in studio currently to speak about disruption, but in a totally different sector, two gentlemen. One, of course, is Mr. Ronald Mahondo. He is the general manager for Little Cabs here in Kenya. And Jeff Aluda, head of operations at Little Cabs as well. Karibuni sana.
Thank you.
Now, the reason you gentlemen are in studio is because Little Cabs is part of the disruption that is currently going on in changing the way people have commuted from place to place. In fact, changing a lot about the cost conversation around that. We have seen a lot of movement in that industry, both from your competitors' point of view and from yourselves. In a nutshell, what is the value proposition for a customer for Little Cabs?
So for Little, what we promise the customer, if
Yes.
you want to come and use our ecosystem, is that you'll get, first of all, safe drivers.
Yes.
Second of all, you'll get better than average cars, meaning that if you use any other platform, you may not be able to get the quality of vehicles and drivers we have. And then thirdly, also, we believe in terms of our pricing, you get value for your money. Yeah.
Now, that being said, a lot of the conversation in the recent past has been around driver welfare, especially at different levels, even globally.
Yeah.
We have seen riots, we have seen strikes in some places, we have seen cars touched in places like Nairobi. Please get into that. What has the conversation been at Little around that?
Yeah, so at Little, we are very careful, especially when you are creating the structure of how we are going to play in terms of the overall ecosystem. So
Yes.
we looked at the welfare of everyone, from our riders to our drivers, and decided in terms of the value proposition, what are you going to offer the driver, what are you going to offer the rider. And I think so far, our value proposition for the drivers is the best in the industry. And that's why I can tell you, if you look at the quality of drivers and the quality of vehicles in our ecosystem, is quite better. Yeah.
Well, Jeff, you are a head of operations at Little. What has the traction been? Have you been able to literally carve yourself a niche in the market and say that you can start to say you're driving this market here in Nairobi and across the country?
I think we as Little are focused more on making it a daily routine in people's life. And that being said, we concentrate so much on also bringing our drivers closer.
Yes.
That has given us a base of trust within the drivers. And apart from the drivers, our clientele is increasing every day. So we are happy, and we know we are going to be the Kenyan brand that is going to shine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Indeed, and staying with you, part of this conversation has been about the way people have these entrenched habits where every other Kenyan is driving a car, single person in traffic, struggling. They have a lot of things on their minds. And they're doing this not because they can afford it, but because they don't want to take public transport. They don't want to take buses which they consider either crowded, rude, dirty, that sort of thing. The rowdy behavior in the public transport industry. What has been your answer to that?
Okay, I think as Little, we came in with a more unique feature where, let's say, we cater for each and every single category of people, let's say, depending on, I can afford this, I cannot afford this. So we, under our app, which is Little,
Yes.
we have categories, let's say there's a basic, there's comfort, there's a comfort plus. Also, people can choose depending on how they want to ride in style. Yeah.
And what exactly does that mean? I want you to expound, because we have young ladies who are 20 years old. She cannot afford to take a cab by herself from a different part of the city to come to the university. There's options like ride sharing. There's options which are budget. What does that mean for a person like that, as distinct from a CEO who can literally choose to take a limo?
And that's when I'll still focus on the categories.
Yes.
There's, let's say, for people like those, there's a category called basic.
Yes.
This is one of the categories. These are just neighborhood taxis, but well-maintained and roadworthy. It's, I think, the cheapest category under our system.
Yes.
And with this said, you can be able, let's say we're going to have fun tonight, we can be able to share a taxi for people. And you're able to...
Yes. I want to come back to you. The fact that you're able to offer this entire galaxy of choice, as opposed to other offerings in the market which tend to lock people at a certain level. What does this mean for a consumer who has to make literally decisions at different times of the month, depending on the amounts they have, and for others who make these decisions because they're business decisions, and the amount of money you're going to spend in this is part of a larger sum of, so to say, mathematics or accounting?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. If you look at our key brand that we are pushing was the Comfort brand,
Yes.
which is currently very well positioned in the market. But what we are seeing more and more is more people actually going for the budget brand,
Yes.
which is the basic, because I think the value proposition around it is quite good. And if you look at the ratios over the months, because we've been around for around 8 months right now. Initially, around 70% of our rides were on the Comfort brand.
Yes, yes.
Right now, I think around 40 to 50% of the rides are under the Comfort brand, which means that people who are more budget conscious are actually more aware about the choices that we're actually giving them. So they're actually going through the various categories that we have in the application, and people actually fit where they want. And also, some businesses are also choosing that for their employees. They're like,
yes.
If we know we can save like 5 or 10% more of travel expenditures, and because of that, they're able to make more informed choices. Yeah.
I want to come back to you, and the perspective here is that I've seen companies, take for example the Standard Group here. On average, a transport vehicle here will do upwards of 3,000 kilometers in a day just within Nairobi, doing the back and forth dropping and picking people off. What are the offers available for partnerships for people like this who don't want to maintain fleets of cars? Because these are opportunities both for you, for your drivers, and for companies to literally scale down on the number of people and vehicles they have to maintain.
I think that's a very interesting question. Under this, I think we are catered fully, which is we have an option for the corporate platform.
Yes.
So on the corporate platform, this is, let's say, companies or people who just have large institutions and want to, let's say, control their budget, control their staff, control their transport. That is catered for fully. We have a very systematic system where everything is just automatic.
Yes.
No papers, no receipts, everything is automated. So it's more easier for the people to control, more easier even for transportation in terms of, let's say, companies.
Let's talk a bit about the Do the brand. The fact that you also have an offering for the motorcycle rider.
Yeah.
The people who choose that as their mode of transport. And for even other things, because it's simple logistics and ways of moving through traffic. What exactly is the offering, and what has the consumption and uptake of this been like?
Yeah, it's quite amazing. We've been beta testing that option in the market. We've not yet done the launch. It's coming soon, but the response in the market is quite impressive. So many people are going into the application. What we're actually struggling with is onboarding enough supply to be able to meet the demand that we have. So we actually encourage more riders to come to our office. The process is very simple. And if I may add something small on the corporate offering. So, so far we've seen a very interesting dynamic in the corporate world, because initially, remember when you are trying to establish the corporate, so many brands were like, who else is under you? So far, I think we have over 100 corporates who have signed, which are blue chip companies, like Stanchart, we have Safaricom, KCB, and the others, and they're really happy with the service. And if you look in terms of the key value that, beyond anything else that they actually find, is one, it's very efficient. So if you really value your time and you want your employees to be always where they need to be, within 5 minutes or less, a cab is always around you. And then the second key thing is that on the budget, we've actually been able to reduce budgets of these companies by around 40 to 50%, with not doing much, but just because of the value proposition where you can be able to track your cost. And also, if you look at whatever savings we are getting, because our cabs, when they move from point A to point B, they get a ride from point B to point C. So they actually don't have a lot of empty return trips.
Yes.
So what that means is we're able to save that money and push it down through the value chain to the actual user.
Okay. Yeah. I want you to talk a bit about the fact that with the budget option, you don't have to insist on new cars, meaning that you don't push out a lot of the ecosystem. And the friction with the current existing drivers out there who are doing the traditional thing doesn't even arise because they can become partners. What does that mean for the company?
So this means that we have the largest opportunity for drivers to join in, where we don't lock anyone. So what we usually encourage the drivers is just bring that car as long as it's well maintained. We'll give you a space and we'll be able to cater for you. We want to create a job space for each and every single person, so that we won't have people left out and feeling as if we are locking them out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Motorcycles are considered the roughest, most unruly bunch of drivers in this town.
Yeah.
What are you doing in terms of training these guys so that we start to see a sort of push from the industry? Because if the guys who are well behaved and who are partnering with a brand such as yours are getting more customers and making more money, then that's a pull and indeed a motivation for people to start behaving in a certain way.
Yeah, true. It's actually very true. It's a valid observation.
Yes.
One of the key things that we always invest in this business is training, because we believe like the most important person in the room in the long run is the driver. The experience that you get while you are on that motorcycle,
Yes.
while you are on that cab, it's what will keep you coming back. So Jefferson can tell you we do trainings almost every other day. Inducting people, trying to show them how to do customer service,
Yes.
Helping them to be more comfortable with the technology. So when it comes to the motorcycle people who the riders, one of the biggest challenges we've had is in terms of the requirements, because for us we say you have to have a certificate of good conduct before
Yes.
we even engage you.
Yes.
We have to do a couple of background checks. But we believe there are a lot of these people who are out there, and they
yes.
actually don't know that we are doing this. So we actually encourage them. You can come to our offices any time, and we'll be able to onboard you.
And in winding up, Jeff, I want you to talk to us about geographical locations across the country where you're present. Are you just in Nairobi? Are you in Mombasa, Kisumu, other counties? Where exactly can people find you?
First, I'd like to say we are looking at the wider range
Yes.
for the expansion, but currently we're in Nairobi, which is our major stronghold, Mombasa. Down the line, I think in 1 month's time, we'll be in Nakuru, Kisumu, and Eldoret. Yes.
Okay, very quickly and finally, the issue of security and safety has been a major concern. You're riding in cars with strangers, people you've never met before. They could literally drive you anywhere they want, or the guys you're ride sharing with, things could happen. How do you address these concerns for both riders and drivers?
Yeah, so what we've done, and it's the first in this region,
Yes.
we've added a feature which is called the panic button. It's going to be live in the next 2 weeks or so. We are waiting for certain confirmations.
Yes.
We are working with the police, the administration police on that. So on the application, you'll find a widget. On that widget, if you press it, a panic response is going to be sent, a panic, and then the police are going to be able to respond to you.
Okay, interesting conversation right there. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for taking the time to talk to us. It has been interesting mainly because not a lot of people know that they don't have to struggle with driving their cars to and from various places every day. And indeed, thank you for taking the time to shed light on that. Ronald Mohondo and